We'll do the general stuff last. So, first thing we got is a $48 balance in the withholding account.
We have finally figured it out. Suzanne processed it just as a quick rough fill-in. She processed it through the, but when she went to print the check to send it to CERS, it didn't add that $48 for some reason. And that's why Cordelia kept saying, you're saying that you put it in the system, but it's not been paid. So we figured it out. That should take care of it this month.
So
in the next month.
It's been resolved?
Yeah.
Okay. Medical, was there an increase in the rate?
No, and I went back and looked at them. There was a $2 difference, a $3 difference, and a $7 difference in those rates that you asked.
Budgeted?
Yeah. Now, there's some,
But the rates they're charging are correct?
yes,
All right,
yes, yeah.
That was the primary reason for the question.
The other reason for some of those differences might have been because when Brian left and stuff, the adjustments in and out in August,
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how that fell out, but that'll give you, if there was any major numbers, definitely.
Very good.
So, okay.
Capital software, when we pay for capital software, we put it in a prepaid account, we were expensing it monthly. We didn't do that with Pontum.
That's because I found the bill for Pontum that I printed out, and it was under my keyboard instead of on my keyboard for Cordelia.
Okay. So,
She'll fix that next month. She'll clean the capital out and fix the Pontum and make it a prepaid, because with Pontum, we pay for the whole year, not just quarterly. So that she'll go back and fix that to a prepay for the year.
okay, but we've already expensed it for the year, right?
Yes.
You sure you want to mark it prepaid? To be honest with you, for the amount of money there is, it doesn't really matter. At the end of
Personally,
June, it turns out to be a zero.
That's the way I feel, but I'm just not an accountant, so.
I mean, technically, we could make it a prepaid, but it's such a small amount of money, it's almost de minimis, so I don't know if we want to.
I prefer not to. I mean, if you got a $500 bill, why do you want to extend it over 12 months? Let's just pay it and be done with it. You know what I mean? That's my thought now.
Let's get this stuff out of prepaid. We got
Yeah.
way too much stuff in prepaid for tiny little amounts, so
We'll
let
take care of
that the way it is and write off the capital
Capital.
balance.
Okay, so that'll be one thing I remember to do, write capital up.
There were some deposits that appear to be deposits that are coming through for, I think, property tax. I thought those were all being sent to the lockbox so that we had one document that we could then process through the new system. Is that the way it's working or not working?
Mostly. We had a couple of our customers, like CoreLogic, they sent us a disc with all the payments on it and stuff and one check here instead of sending it to PNC for some reason. So there was about a half dozen of those that came through that we ended up processing here.
Well, and there also are some individuals who do come to Window and demand to pay here and get stamped, and we just process those through the cash register instead of sending those to the bank.
We haven't made it mandatory that we don't accept property tax.
Well, even if we accept them, we can forward them to
Correct. We hadn't started that yet because we had a couple of,
Well, I
we're
think
still
you're
kind
saying
of
you
new.
can get some cash payments in before it too, right? You didn't want
Yeah, some of them are
payments
cash,
in.
and we won't send cash naturally. Yeah.
Well, maybe, why don't we put this on the agenda for, if we decide to interview additional banks?
Yep.
This would be a good topic, because if we can take it directly to another bank, I mean, I know PNC only has one lockbox, and it's in wherever, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we could just run the whole thing through one group, and then we don't have to deal with all these miscellaneous things. But we'll do that when we talk to the new bank, or to an optional bank, excuse me. All right, capital, we already discussed that. November, we had credit and workers' comp. Did we
Yeah.
get credits back?
We got credits and we got increases. The June 31st was the end of the year,
Right.
so we sent in our audit, if you will.
Mhm.
And it was kind of interesting. What happened was we had a discount. Oh, I have to read my notes here, Mike. We did get a credit for workers' comp in Public Works.
Okay.
Public Works / Parks and Rec, because Wayne only made approximately 12,000 versus 18,000. So that's why there was a difference in the credit. They credited us, I think it was like $240 credit. So then just on down to the general ledger with building and zoning, workers' comp,
Yeah.
we were not able to acquire a copy of Schutzman Inspection Services workers' comp certificate, and insurance said if you don't have a copy of it, you have to pay it.
What period?
That would have been for,
Last fiscal year.
yeah,
So 7/1/12
12,
to
no,
6/30,
13. No, when were we at 13? Yeah, it would have been 12 to 13.
to 6/30/13.
Yeah.
If we find that workers' comp certificate now, can we get reimbursed?
I think we
Well,
would be able to.
definitely try,
Yeah, I think they would do that up to, a year or so.
We obviously didn't ask for this one. I mean, contractually, he should have supplied it, but we didn't ask for it, you think?
I would say that's a
I'm
fair
asking a
statement.
question
Yeah.
here, but
There is no such document of that in our files. We don't have that in our files. I've got the signed contract, but I don't have that document.
Okay. How, do you have any recollection of what that was? How much?
About $742. And that's off the top of my head, I don't have it in front,
Fair enough.
Yep.
On the new vehicle on police,
we fixed that. We went ahead and corrected it today, as a matter of
so,
fact.
so that we don't have capital and new equipment anymore.
Correct, and I can actually print everybody, I was gonna print, once we get through the November questions, I actually printed up a new police department and a new city attorney and a new public works, and I'll hand those out. I didn't wanna reprint the whole packet, I just, yeah, so, correct, yes.
Okay. Capital, that is the dump truck on the public works for November, right?
Yes,
Okay. I think you answered that previously, I have it marked off. In December, can I move on to December?
yeah, I'm
Um,
getting them off your list, I'm,
For accounts receivable, we have $72,000 for prior year. Has that been turned over?
is that, now let me ask you this, is that prior year or current year? Because I
I'm sorry,
think
that
you were
was
looking at
that
current
was
year.
Yeah,
Because you put prior year, because
Yeah,
Craig and I
it's
were
current.
trying to go through there.
prior year was the 17.
Right, current year, you can't turn them over to the attorney for a year.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So they'll be due then October?
So next October,
October of
this
14?
October, we'll turn them over to the city attorney if they still haven't been paid, yes.
Okay. And what about the prior year? Those have all been turned over?
Mhm.
All but two.
And we're still working those?
Yes.
Okay.
Still
Those are
receiving
active.
payments from them, yeah.
So they got payment plans set or something.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, on the balance sheet, we still have a $14,000. That's because we paid this off on December the 5th and we paid the December 1st due, so we just need to write that off.
Okay,
The balance should be zero. The bank
Right.
says the balance is zero.
Right,
It's marked
exactly.
paid in full, the balance is zero.
well, and I honestly, I wasn't sure how that worked, because when we talked, we thought, okay, it's a liability probably because of the interest rate. So that might have been the interest that we had planned, that we're actually getting savings on, that 11, 14,000, you know what I mean?
I think what the bank did is they made us pay the balance as of November 30, not realizing they had a December 1st payment already applied against that loan.
That could be too, yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know, but,
Yeah, but a
yeah.
month's payment's not $14,000.
I know, but the rest of it must just be the interest.
Right.
The interest that we planned on, that, we said we were gonna save about 11,000 paying it off between that and the,
Well, the amount
Payment
that I
for the
had you
month.
posting every month included interest for a full year on a monthly basis.
right,
So we saved 4 months, so if 6 months, so if you back that back in, that would be about the right amount of money. So
but
what
yeah,
we-
that just has to be zeroed out, and I saw an email from Cordelia asking about that. I
Okay.
think to you, if I remember correctly,
All
what
we need to do is just take the percentages that were applied to each department and give that money back to the departments based on those percentages.
For that one payment.
Pardon?
For that one payment or for the whole 14?
For the whole 14,000, because that's what we charged them, so we need to reverse that.
So then it's the department's supposed to be with that money then?
well, no, it'll go back against that same line item that it was being charged against, in a sense, correct? That's what I was thinking. It'll just ultimately fall
Well,
back
that-
into reserves.
That was the
Awesome.
discussion we had about whether we should restrict that or let it go back into reserve. We didn't have an answer. That's gonna be a council decision on what to do with it. But I'm not saying, 14,000 is a lot of money, but it's only $14,000 split over 4 departments. So
Right.
you won't see a huge fluctuation.
Right, but when you said it goes back in this line item, do you mean it goes back into, do we have a line item?
For each department that says building and, loan payment, building,
Right, but if you put it back in that line item, just, it has to stay in that line item, we can't use it for anything else, correct?
within that department, technically, we can.
Okay,
Technically, we can, if we were to need the money. I don't see any department yet getting to that point, with the exception of roads. We can always spend money on
right,
roads,
we
you
can
know what I
always
mean?
go towards, yeah, towards
But-
that, okay.
I thought you guys had already agreed, let that go back in the surplus though.
True, but at the end of the year, if we have to reserve surplus, it's not gonna matter if it comes out of here or comes out of somewhere else. It's surplus is surplus, so.
But if I spend it, then I see what you're saying, it's not
Yeah,
gonna
it's
go to
gone.
surplus.
Right.
Right, but the amount that is public works that gets reversed will be available for road work. And then we can decide what to do with the rest, if in fact there is a surplus that's available. And we'll start generating projected year numbers here shortly to try to figure out if we're gonna need a budget.
Okay,
That's
I can
typical.
take, let's say I can take what? Okay,
Say
like
it's
3 grand.
Yeah,
Okay, so we can go ahead and take that and put it, and spend it and put it into roads.
you need to talk to the mayor.
Okay,
I thought we agreed that if we're gonna pay this thing off, we would try to put the money back in surplus at least this year and next year while the current council's in place. And that way we wouldn't just be sucking down the reserves and going off and spending the money on something else.
The only thing we can do is through 6/30 of this year, because next year, the new council will control that budget.
well, but there's no line item, there's no money in that line item.
Either way, as we sit here today, I anticipate a surplus. How much it'll be is undetermined at this point, but because of all the different challenges we've had with, some staffing things, some
I just wanna
building
know
and
if I can
zoning.
spend it if it's in my budget, that's all I care about.
I'm gonna say no, because we did commit to
Okay.
putting it in reserves. Now, does that mean not come May or June, you say, hey, how are we doing on the budget? Can I get 25,000 to spend on roads? Well, yeah, if it's in the budget somewhere, we'll just move it around, but at this point, you're right, we did, I think, as agreed, put it there, so.
Well, there are gonna be two adjustments. One will be the 29,000 will come out of your 44,000 that we have already budgeted in miscellaneous.
Already
That's what
is.
that is. That miscellaneous is additional road money.
Okay,
That 29,000 will come out, and the 36 or 37,000, I don't recall what the number is right now, will go back in. And then this will be a separate line item, but then you and the mayor can have a discussion
okay.
about
Well,
whether.
that's fine, it's not that much, but if we can use it,
Right.
we'd like to.
And this, probably later on this month, we will start generating a projected 2014 financial statement, and then a budget for 14-15. And that's typically, we start with a December financial statement and try to figure out where are we going to be. Because what we don't want to do is end up in May saying, oh my God, we've got to pass a budget amendment,
Right.
because it doesn't give us enough time to review it. And if we catch it now, we might be able to make some changes to head that off, that's all. On the income statement, page 3, we got some penalty money in here, $4,000. Was that for current year, prior year, or
Yeah,
both?
yes, both.
Okay.
Yeah, because when we get penalty and interest, we just ping it as penalty and interest.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether it comes from '08 or this year.
No, but that's a substantial amount. I mean, it's probably more than we've received, as long as I can remember.
The amnesty program helped a lot, to be honest with you, with some of that, I think, didn't it?
Well, the amnesty program penalty and interest for the half that paid went away,
Right,
okay?
but we did.
But no, we brought in quite a bit because with the new software system, it said December 1, you're late.
Oh yeah, not only that, we actually had some serious, it was disappointing, but we had, and upset people, but I mean, we had some tax bills that were $2,000 to $3,000 tax bills that were late, and there's a 15% penalty on it. Well, I thought I sent it,
Well,
you know?
everybody's got to pay their way. I mean,
Exactly, so we had some pretty good sized ones
Yeah,
that,
I would say we have been very letter of the law when it comes to penalty and interest this year. I mean, I cleaned out that box on December 1st at 3:00 p.m. and everything that has come in after that point has gotten penalty and interest.
yep, we've had a couple that we might have, I think I might have wavered on a little bit due to when it was posted. I think we had one that went to the bank and then got returned and back and played, you know, that type of thing.
Right.
But their initial documentation stated they were in time, so it's like, so there's a couple minor ones, but other than that, we've really been good with it.
Fair is fair, I mean, we gotta do
Yeah.
the right thing. Okay. Code enforcement, are we still paying attorney fees in code enforcement?
Yeah, because they've actually they're finishing up what they were working on. And the other thing is come to find out at the mayor's group, there's three cities that haven't gotten the paperwork to file the interlocal agreement with everybody, and they all have to have it signed before it's in place, if you will. So,
The joint board.
the joint board. Luckily, we haven't had any issues, and there's not been any citations or anything issued, and kind of gave us a reprieve for the winter, but yeah, that should be going away after they get these last few cleaned up. And they're just finishing up what they were working on also.
Okay. Parks and Rec, utilities, when did we turn off that water, do we know?
November 21st. The problem is the water bills only get billed quarterly.
Yeah, I know, but it said it was billed from September 14th on, and I'm curious, what do we have going on in September that we needed water?
Where is this at?
Villa.
Soccer.
Fields?
Yeah.
Soccer field, yeah.
Soccer.
Was that water or sanitation, Jim?
It said water, but I don't know. Could be.
Okay, you know, it
Yeah.
probably was. No, I think it was. I was thinking, because the
Well,
sanitation
there's still
bill.
water in the fields during fall soccer.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I saw,
I saw that and I was a little bit surprised, but
how much was that?
$1,800.
was it
Seemed like a lot.
I thought it was 1,000.
Was it 1,000?
I could be wrong.
Still seems like a lot.
Page 10.
Water bill for $1,000, just seems like a lot.
Oh, you're right, 1,000.
I thought it was 1,000, but I thought that seemed like a lot, and then I was like, man. And then I looked at utilities. You know, we've got budgeted 14.2 for them, 14.3, and we've only spent 7. So we're halfway through the year. In theory, that's on budget, even though I was hoping to start bringing that down some.
Police wages, regular wages were up. Do we know why?
Yep.
Would you like to share? or
Oh, you want me to
is it
share?
a secret?
No. Couple of reasons. First of all, you already know the holiday pay was one of them.
Right.
And then the other part of it was, we had raises that were retro, that I did not get in, remember?
Okay.
Yep. And that it also goes for Public Works.
What was it about the holiday pay?
It all got put into regular wages instead of on the line item of holiday pay. In the past, they've cut separate checks, like we've talked about. This time, they're all on the same check, so it all got banked right into one line item as opposed to separate. I talked to Jim just a quick moment about this, and I was gonna move it, and I think he agreed, if my memory's correct. We're just gonna leave it there because next budget, now holidays like in this year fall, whenever they fall is when they get paid. There's no one-time payout, so when it comes budget time, that number is what we wanna see anyway in
Total
there.
number.
Yeah,
And the police department was the only department with that holiday payout. All the other
Individual.
departments always got it as they roll through.
Okay.
yeah.
Then the holiday pay was the next thing, which we just talked about. Public Works is a retro increase again.
It was, yes.
Okay. Attorneys, my favorite topic, 36K so far this year.
Yes.
Where in the world are we gonna end up?
It's a good question, and I think that it's hard to tell. Like, so we have some things going on, and I just don't know what. I'm gonna try and sit down with you and Mary here after the meeting and talk about a few things, and then also have a meeting with Todd tomorrow to talk about some issues. But I wish I could give you a number. I'm gonna try and look back and see. I know that we just got the December billing, and it was about 6,000. That's part of the problem with that sheet and trying to get it to match this. The bills are about a month behind.
Well, but from my perspective, and I know this isn't public yet, and I want to talk about that as well. I would like for this, whatever the total is at the bottom of the sheet, to match what this says. I don't care when they come in. If it's in the financial statement, I want to see what the balance is through the financial statement. That's my personal request. And in terms of this document, I think this document needs to be public. And I sent you an email, asked you to get a legal consultation on that, because I'm gonna ask that Wednesday night. So hopefully you can meet with Todd and you guys can,
So when you
Decide.
say go public with that, I'm struggling with that. I don't mind having the categories and what the amount we spent per category, if you will.
that's all this is.
Yeah, no, doesn't it have
Names of the
the
companies
names and
stuff.
everything of the companies and
Take
that?
that off, I said that in the beginning. I don't need that, I don't need those.
Yeah. Because if we do the financials on the website, we can go and look and pull up legal and find out exactly what we spent. I mean, do you really?
You're right, if you want to generate the spreadsheet yourself. But on that document, it doesn't tell you what category these expenses fall into.
Okay, so you want the categories.
That's all I want.
in there.
I'm not trying to
Okay.
to
And just
release information.
just the monthly totals? I mean, just,
Yeah, that's all I need. Month and year to date, you know, and what it has, this thing at the bottom is really all I need. That's year to date.
right,
And
that's
this-
what I mean, I don't think we need any of that stuff in the middle so much. I mean,
You can take the names off and just say, in July, this is what it looked like. August,
Right,
September,
exactly,
October. And
okay.
at the end of the day, we got
Okay.
12 lines, but it tells us where the money's being spent.
well, I'm okay with that, I just didn't like it with, I didn't, you know, there are some documents that come through council that I don't think have to be shared all the time, not that I don't like transparency, it's just that there are some things that, you know, that sheet, I think, if it's published as it is, brings more questions than it does give answers, was my concern. But if you take out the attorneys and you just do category and you do month,
That's all I want.
then I'm okay with that.
I want to know, at the end of the day, what are we paying for as a city? You know, in terms of which attorney it is and all the other stuff,
Okay,
it's
then
really
I'm fine
not
with that.
germane.
Okay, all right.
Especially, I mean, we may be sitting here in a couple of months saying, okay, we got to go from 50 to something else. And that's what concerns me.
Right, and if you look at that, and you look at what we spent on civil service and what we spent on code enforcement and what we spent on personnel, and you look at those types of things, you know, those are exceptionals as far as I'm concerned
Agreed, but
compared to,
they're not in the total either.
The only thing that's not in the total is code enforcement and
Civil
civil
service.
service. The
The
personnel.
personnel is, but the other two are excluded.
right, and they should be in there, I
Well, they're in a separate line item in the budget is why they're not in there.
would think. Okay.
They're
But, I
on the
mean,
sheet, but they're not in the total number at the bottom. If you look at the bottom, it's got three totals, code enforcement, civil service, and then all other, if you will.
We
Well,
need
maybe
to
the code
figure out
enforcement should go away next year, right?
Please?
Code enforcement should go away next year?
Correct.
Right,
what we want to do is for that $50,000 that we budget,
how it was divided up.
and where are we going in the
So
future?
we need maybe to pick the categories that we want on there.
So should the civil service even be on that spreadsheet? I mean, if it's not a part of that legal line, should it
The
even
only,
be on
the
there?
only advantage to having it is then you can tie back to that invoice. I mean, as a spreadsheet.
Right.
And it's kind of, honestly, I like it because I like to see how much we're spending on civil service.
Yeah.
Right,
It drives me crazy.
right, but you're tying it back to the individual invoices. You can see if we're just gonna collapse all those into monthly line items, whether it's there or not, doesn't matter.
Well, I'm still gonna see the legal expense for civil service on the financial statement, so
Sure.
you're right, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'll see it there anyway, so. Do whatever, you guys can do what you wanna do, whatever you think is appropriate. But I need to know, for that 50 grand, what are we spending it on? That's where I wanna get. And if you and Todd can come up with something that makes you comfortable, if you could let us know what that is, then we can say, okay, that fits the bill or no, it doesn't. Is fair enough?
Yep, I will evaluate, definitely talk to Todd.
All right. All right, and I don't know how we're gonna project this, but we're gonna need to do something because,
I'll try and come up with a number, and that's, you know, it's like everything, to this point, it'll be a guess, but it'll at least
I
be
know.
something to shoot at.
we're at 36 and we're halfway through, so that means I hope we're not looking at 72, but maybe we are. The budget not being updated, I think, is an issue, and I would ask that that be redone before these financial statements get published on the web.
It's already been done, actually. I actually have the adjustments already. That was just, I got her the budget amendment for the 140 and forgot the other one for the
Okay.
attorney's fees.
Okay.
So today, actually, she called me and we actually have it updated. So
Okay.
those will be
So
ready.
so we need to ask council if that's sufficient or if they need a full set, right?
Right, I'll hand out the 3-pack.
But you got the full set, right? You just didn't print them out for today?
Right, well, the only thing that changes is like 3 pages.
Right, but you have the full set that you can give to council? Is that what
I
you're
didn't,
asking?
no, I didn't print them off. The only thing I printed was the ones that had the changes on
We've
it.
already done it once. I don't want to kill more trees. There's no reason for it. All I'm saying is,
Hand these to
There's
them and say, insert these versus the other ones.
Yeah.
Right.
without those changes, without that budget amendment, it appears that the mayor spent more money than was allocated in the budget, which is obviously a big problem. So we have done the budget amendment, we did our homework, it just didn't get put in the financial statements. That's all I was asking, is that the budget be modified.
So, yeah, and then we did that.
All right, legal fees for civil service, what,
There was a filing that had to be done, that's why there was like, is it like $300 or something? Yeah, there was another filing that had to be completed for the Civil Service Commission.
okay. Minor question, are we transitioning fuel to Speedway?
No, we're not. We have. I mean, yes, we already have. It's already done. Not the Speedway, no, but the WEX. Remember how you told me that WEX card
Yeah.
that's expected? That's where we went.
Okay, what are the Speedway bills? There's like 4 of them.
There was a point in time
Oh.
when we were doing the transition, when we had to walk away from BP because of
No.
fuel quality issues, and
It
then,
was Sunoco. That's,
Sunoco.
remember when you asked me what the world was going on, or you noted something about the Public Works and the Bobcat? Why more expensive?
Yeah.
Because we were getting water in the fuel filter and it was clogging the thing up. This is only an assumption. I don't want this going to the public if you don't.
Turn it off.
Please.
Too late.
Don't say it.
But,
I bought fuel at Sunoco, haven't had any problem with that.
well, and
Maybe.
actually, there's other diesel company, or diesel people using it that have claimed the same thing. They're having trouble with the
Really?
diesel, like there could be water
I
leaking.
won't buy diesel anyway.
That's, so we quit using it. So I told him, I didn't care. Use the debit card and go get diesel or fuel from somebody else. Don't keep using it if you know you have a problem.
Is
So-
that what was wrong with the Bobcat?
That's part of the secondary bills that came in, yes. And I don't know if I have all the detail, but yes. So, as a follow-up to the other question you had about the Bobcat,
Okay.
as well as Speedway. When you said Speedway, I was like, how do you know we went there? Because those WEX cards can be for any place.
Right, it's specifically Speedway. that's-
Yeah, because they
on
use
the
the
debit card, they used the
Because they
debit
use the
card
debit
because we
card.
were in a transition period between cards.
Yep.
I did get an email from Cordelia telling me that the PNC, to respond to the review or the audit request, charged $270. Is that right?
No, that's not. You're thinking John Chamberlain, right?
No, there was a fee.
This is a bank fee, not,
Right.
Yeah.
She said PNC charged $270 to comply with the audit request.
Oh, wow.
yeah, because she printed this out for me. And again,
Well, that's what I thought I read.
see, manual audit confirmation fee, yes. So I guess they're confirming our audit. I don't know how they're confirming our audit.
Well, I mean, they have to do a confirm. That's
Okay.
that's standard practice. But I've never seen anybody charge $270 to do it.
That's why I put on here part of our questions for PNC.
Okay, so we need,
Yes.
would you?
Get your copies of
Yeah,
these?
or scan it or something.
So who's going back to PNC and talking about that and the fact that we're still in this non-interest bearing account?
Well, let's go to there now. The $600,000 that's supposedly in a non-interest bearing account. Have we gotten to the bottom of that?
We have not. And I thought we would have had a meeting by now, but since Chris, the gentleman from PNC, canceled the meeting on us, we're set hopefully for this Friday at 4 o'clock.
So that's on?
Well, still have to verify it.
He's gonna confirm
Oh, he
it.
wasn't in today.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, so he's gonna confirm it, but yes, so we're gonna meet to try and get to the bottom of all those questions.
okay. What was, I know he said 3 o'clock. Was there a reason? Did he?
I said
No, the
3
mayor
o'clock.
said this.
I just wanted it later in the day because I don't wanna be in Mason and have to come back at noon.
Yeah.
So, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
You just make it as late in the day as possible,
Yeah,
so
whatever
4
you
or
can
5
do.
o'clock.
Whatever, as late as you can push it.
Yeah.
So that's Friday. Okay. Okay, all right, well, answers that question. The legal summary we already talked about, the 600,000 we talked about, and would you mind, have you got copies for everybody, or?
No, let me go make them real quick. How many copies do I need? One. City attorney.
How many of those changed?
Just 3, but I printed off this performance just to double check. There's only 3.
Yeah, don't give us that one.
And-
Just give us those three.
And actually, the police department, the only thing I did on the police was move capital to.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Those are all on there, unless you guys want to see them. Is that a 3D printer or something? That's a lot more.
It does, man.
It's well used, been around a while.
Yeah, did we ever get like an NKOL reco? I think you were gonna go talk to them about a virus reco.
Well, they came in and put some malware, what,
Yeah.
Another one.
on the
So it's just-
PD's computers, and we haven't had any since.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You know, we're still incurring bills from them from time to time a little bit, but nothing like we were. I mean, we were driving bad or something like that, you know, normal stuff.
Assuming that the budget gets redone and those statements are fine for everybody, is there any objection to accepting these financial statements as modified by this thing right here?
Nope.
No objection? Okay. Then we'll recommend acceptance. In the last meeting, I passed out, I think it was virtually the same form, and asked you guys to think about how are we going to proceed. There's a couple of problems. Number one is the county may stop collecting vehicle license fee, sticker fee, effective 7/1. I don't,
Yeah, there's no problem. Since you guys didn't get the full packet, I didn't give you a copy of them. So, I mean, if you want one, I can get you one.
We can wait till it's public.
well, actually, this is the only way it can be published, so yeah, it's probably best. 7/1, do we know that the county is definitely going to stop collecting?
At this time, I've not had it confirmed, but I mean, they were pretty solid that they were gonna not be able to do it. So,
Okay.
I think we need to continue to move forward with the assumption that they're not gonna be able to,
Okay.
unfortunately.
You know, when I paid mine, the lady that, of course, she's only one lady, she said there was 4 cities in Kent County at least.
You know, there's Taylor Mill, Fort Wright, and Villa Hills, and I forget the other one.
So there's only 2 counties in the state.
2
so-
counties in the entire state. And
Right.
The software is done by the entire state though.
Well, Fort Wright just passed it.
What's that?
So they passed it, and they're going to take it away.
I stand it to him, this was an.
I just wonder what they were
Another
doing.
copy of what you printed.
That was my copy.
Well, that's
There
a
was one for you then.
legitimate question. I think it's probably a good idea to contact those guys, find out what they do and what they intend to do. But we're gonna have to come up with some answers. And this committee's gonna be asked to make a recommendation to council. Right now, we're just kicking around ideas, because we're gonna have to come up with something soon. Some of these have a very short fuse. So if we wanna change the insurance premium tax, we have to notify very early. The payroll tax is quarterly, so we can change that almost at will. Property tax has to be done basically 7/1 time frame. Franchise tax, we can do that, we can sign that agreement, but it may be a 10-year agreement. We don't know if we can carve out a 2-year or 1 year or whatever.
I thought we did know that. I thought we were able to carve out a 3-year on the fee itself.
I thought that was still a question.
Todd did more on that than I did, I didn't touch it after I
Okay.
got it.
We'll ask again, but I was almost positive.
Yeah,
they
but
said we
Yeah,
could
but he
I remember Todd saying you could put
a 2 or
Two
3
year-
year.
Crescent
in
Springs has
election.
3.
Crescent Springs put a 3-year on it, I thought.
Well, the problem is, depending on what we want to do with this, if we do pass this on the ballot, does that mean the franchise fee goes away? And we have to modify the franchise fee?
Yeah, so you have to do it 2 years, probably. No.
I don't know. I don't know how
Well,
that's going to work. So,
But then again, if we do a 2-year, let's say we do a 2-year franchise fee, kick it in now roughly and all of next year, even if we put it on the ballot and it passes, that's not gonna go into effect until the end of next year anyway.
We wouldn't collect it till the end of next
Franchise fee?
year. No, the property tax.
Property
Oh,
tax. Yeah, so I mean, putting a 2-year on it would get us through the gap, you know what I mean?
Franchise fee goes on quarterly. Duke will only add it
Right.
quarterly.
Right.
So we probably, I don't know that we could get the first quarter, so
Right,
we'd
first
probably be at the second quarter. So 2 years puts us in the middle of the year again. So there's no easy answers, basically. So we're gonna have to come up with some ideas on how to do this. Were you able to get, you probably weren't able to get any answers on whether the parcel fee is an increase of the property tax?
The fundamental thing that it boils down to is that if it is a user fee, it would not be. But if we couldn't tie it to some sort of service that an individual could refuse and therefore not have to pay the fee, then it would probably be considered a property tax increase instead of a user fee, and therefore we could theoretically run afoul of Chapter 132 and the 4% rule. It would also be easier to tie it to an existing contract. And so if we had an existing contract for service, that was a service that the city did not provide, and it was a user fee, that we could say, every parcel in the city benefits from this contract, then I think we have a better chance of avoiding that.
Other than garbage, what sort of a contract do we have that a user can say, I don't want this coverage, and walk away from it?
They can't. I mean, the one that comes to my mind, the other large contract we have is with the fire department.
You think a user's gonna be able to say, I don't want fire
Right,
coverage?
no,
That's right,
they're not
so-
gonna be able to, but it's an existing contract that we have and it's a service we don't provide.
But is that third part, the user can deny coverage?
Well, that's just it. If because we provide fire service to every property in the city, they can't. And that's where you run into the question. That's beyond my pay grade.
So anything, basically, you're thinking anything we do with this parcel is probably gonna be a property tax increase.
I would say if it was attached to anything but the fire contract, I would lean that way. If it was attached to the fire contract, I think you have a better chance of surviving it. Because it's an existing contract that's provided by an outside vendor that no one in the city can say, I don't want fire protection.
How much is our fire contract?
450 roughly, just
Oh,
off the top of
yeah,
my head.
right, yeah, we're way up with that, over what we need.
But you don't have to bill out the whole contract either. No. You just can't bill out anymore.
But
Yeah.
then we're tying our road work to the fire contract.
Right.
Well,
In
it
a
seems
sense.
kinda strange.
Well,
In a sense,
In a
because
sense.
otherwise you just, instead of taking 200,000 out of our general fund and putting it towards fire, we move it over here and then we bill out.
I understand how it works, but, so we would put this parcel fee on, would it be on the invoice that's tied to the fire contract?
yeah, I would put it on the invoice just like garbage, where it would say, fire
EMS,
service,
fire
fire
service.
service, boom, fee.
So we're gonna use money out of the general fund to pay for the roads, and then we're gonna use the parcel fee to pay the fire.
Yes. That would be a way of doing it.
And if this passed, then we would eliminate the parcel fee
Correct,
and pay the fire out of general fund again.
correct.
What passed in front of this here?
Well, that's the second shoe. I mean, there's two shoes that have to drop. One is, we gotta fund this thing effective 7/1, or at least effective 1/1 of 15.
Right.
And in theory, because people like Tom have already paid their vehicle license fee for this year, we gotta make everybody pay for this year. Or we gotta refund everybody for this year, which we really can't do. So we gotta try to collect everything that's due us by 12/31, and then pass this thing. Well, then the next thing would be that the parcel fee kicks in on the October invoice for the period 1/1/15 through 12/31/15. Then, effective the next year, hopefully they would pass this road fee. And my understanding is, I know this has been voiced before, that we don't know what we're buying. my understanding is the Public Works is working on a plan, that this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna do it, this is how long it's gonna take, that sort of thing.
So this is something on the ballot, right?
That's my concept, Scott. I mean, this committee needs to make a recommendation. If the recommendation is forget this, we're just gonna stay with the parcel fee, that's a recommendation. But I've always thought that we ought to give the taxpayers the opportunity to vote for this or against it. I mean, it's their city, you know, we probably ought to ask them what they think. And if we apply a 35 cent per thousand property tax, which is a substantial increase in the property tax, there's no question about it. But somehow we gotta fund these roads. And at 35 cents for an average house, which according to PBA, an average house is $236,406, we would generate $234,000. Average cost per household would be $79.63. Now, if your house is worth more than 236, you're gonna pay more. If it's worth less than 236, you're gonna pay less.
What's this 229 figure here then? Under the 35 cents per thousand?
That's the net. That, because of if you look at the entity total and then the net taxable,
That's residential also.
that's, so the homestead exemption kicks in, and you end up with a net taxable amount of 229. The average cost per household is or the valuation is 229, the average cost is 79.63.
So what's the 227 number, or is that net taxable?
It's been a while since I looked at this, give me a break. If you start way on the left-hand side, this is off the PBA's numbers. The total residential property is worth $682 million. 25 million is under the exemption for homestead. Net tax was $657 million. That's 2,888
Parcels?
parcels.
Okay.
And the difference is tax.
Pardon me?
The difference is homestead.
Right. The difference is homestead.
Because one homestead's worth $77.04 to a homeowner for city taxes.
So, you know what, I don't know if we can make this happen. I don't know if the people will vote for it. It has some advantages, and I think some big advantages. One is that we're asking their opinion, which, you know, we tend not to do a whole lot. One is that everybody that owns real property is going to pay this tax, whether they have a parcel that has 30 apartments in it, or whether they have, whatever they have, they're going to pay by the value of the house. It qualifies for the homestead exemption. It can be restricted. It can be itemized on federal and state returns. We don't have to worry about enforcement. Right now, I think the vehicle license fee is unenforceable. If you go down to the county and you say, I don't want to pay it, what are they going to do? I mean, they're going to tell us that they didn't pay it, but we got a $40 invoice and we're going to sue somebody over? It's not going to happen. It's easy and inexpensive to assess and to administer, and we can sunset the tax, which I think is a big thing that we missed the last time. I think we need to tell them we're going to sunset the tax, and then make future councils decide whether this is the right approach or something else is the right approach.
How long do you have to have in place for the sunset?
There's no limit.
Are we going to put that on the ballot, we're going to sunset it in 10 years or 15 years
I
or
wouldn't go that long.
5
I'd
years?
probably go 3 or 5, yeah.
I go at least minimum 5, maybe 10.
Well, if you're gonna sunset it, you'd want to make it coincide with an election to where you can renew it, wouldn't you?
Not a general election, yes, it might be 6 or whatever it ends up being. I guess 4 or 8
Right.
would be the way it would want
Do
to
we know how much money we need to do their plan you're talking about they're building?
Well, the plan that they're talking, we need like 700,000 a year. If you actually, and Dave Whitaker's got, he was talking about it the other day, he's got all the graphs and the numbers and that, and where we are right now, the roads are going to need a lot of work in the next, and then I forget exactly how many years. And then because the life expect max is 50 years, and then you gotta pretty much take it down. to the subgrade. Some you may go a little bit longer than that, but he says, and then we're gonna peak, and then we're gonna start to slow down a little bit. But he says, then again, you're gonna go through the other cycle. I think it went out, I don't know, it was like 2049 or something. I'm sitting there thinking, you were there. I mean, wasn't it kind of like, okay, gee, I gotta make decisions way out there? I don't think so.
That might make it.
But that's what they're saying, just that if we want to do, I mean, we got the cost just to do Wesley over there. That part of the horseshoe part of Wesley was what, $384,000. Because they believe we gotta go all the way down to, well, he doesn't know yet, but what it appears to be that we might have to go all the way down to subgrade, that the concrete underneath is,
How can that be more expensive than doing garages? Almost double, or 50% higher in cost.
because because I guess we're milling and everything, we're doing new curbs, I don't know, did they do new curbs or not?
We did the whole thing.
Did the whole thing, it was
I don't know,
250,000.
well,
But it's longer.
the distance was longer, wasn't it? The distance was
Just
almost
the
double.
horseshoe of Wesley?
Yeah, it was 1,600 square, or 1,600 feet, or something, it was much longer than Rogers.
What was Rogers, do we know? Just curious. I can't,
God, see, I'm not
That's
good at
huge.
remembering numbers, I gotta look at my notes.
The
I
dollars?
no.
I know the dollars.
Yeah, the dollar was 249 or 250.
I thought it was 234, but could be right.
Anyway, that's what his estimate was to redo, oh, I'll take, yeah, that was just Wesley, that was an easy one too. And, but anyway, they're looking at 750,000, which we don't have the money to spend 750,000. Wesley was 364,000. Take that back, it's 3,826 feet. 3,826 feet, because Eastland is 1,035 feet, and Eastland's gonna be 143 to replace. Now, if we just-
Eastland's not in bad shape though. Eastland's not in bad shape though.
If we
Eastland,
Eastland's not in bad shape?
no. There's a couple sections, but it doesn't need to be replaced from when I drove it the other day, specifically to look at it.
Okay, well, I think we were talking milling and then, anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, those are that is just the projection on those two roads, because we wanted to do Wesley next year along with Dale Road. And we were waiting for the estimates from the engineer. So anyway, it's gonna be, I mean, that's what they're saying, 700 and something thousand per year, which we're not gonna generate that kind of money, so,
So we're gonna need a realistic number from you guys, because
we will.
$234,000 isn't gonna scratch the surface on what you're gonna do.
Well, 234,000, no, but with KMA money,
There's
Still
200
only
more.
434,000.
right,
Still a couple hundred short.
right.
which
But
basically
again,
means
we're
we have to
not
double
looking
this.
at generating we just don't think that unless something happens with the tax base here where we can, increase that. But to go in for this, it would be way too high. People are not gonna vote for it. I think this is reasonable.
Well,
I
we
think
were-
this is very reasonable.
We were trying to replace the vehicle license fee,
Right.
not to get
Increase
to that
taxes.
number.
Right.
So,
Well, then why would you want to sunset that if you're going to replace it?
because we should have sunsetted the vehicle license fee.
But it's an ongoing thing.
Agreed, but I think every so often you need to revisit this, and if you don't sunset it, Tom, these things take on a life of their own, and they just become, okay, that's the minimum, now we go up from there. I don't wanna do that. I
But
wanna,
the money's always here, if I don't want to spend it.
Yeah, why, that's true.
Right, right.
And you hear about companies that, well, I gotta spend it by the end of the year.
Right.
Well, and then they just add on to it or do something else, so I like the sunset. I'm fine with the parcel fee. I think that hits everybody. If we tie it to fire. I don't like it out there that somebody can challenge it and then we go back into, it becomes a problem.
well, in theory, it's a one-year answer, right?
But why do we have to tie it to this year? Why don't we just say, you know what, we're doing this to replace the vehicle sticker fee, and then this is a special catch-up tax, if you will, to fix the roads.
You're gonna double their tax? Don't run.
I'm not gonna run, so I'm not worried about the election.
I hear you.
I mean,
But,
the other alternative is we held there was no increase this past year, right? And
Sure.
0% tax increase, right?
right,
What does it go up, what does it go up if we implement the full 4%?
60 back.
60,000, so I mean, if you have to, you just say, okay, 4% every year and generate the taxes that way in a year.
Well, the other option you have is just to take this vehicle, or the property tax up basically 16% in 1 year. You can challenge it, but you end up with the same dollars.
I mean, you can challenge that.
Recall election.
If we just force it on the tax bill instead of putting it up on the ballot, someone can challenge it.
I'm not sure they can't challenge it even under
Right.
what you just said. I really,
Right,
I think it's subject to challenge.
Well, Crescent Springs, they think they bill out for their fire. I mean, they do not take that out of the general fund, is my understanding. So their residents pay for their fire,
They pay the whole bill on that
is
way?
what I was told, yes.
What if we would do that? What if we pay the whole bill on ours, instead of having the $80 or $60, we can go to 160 and 120, cover the entire fire bill, just like Crescent Springs is doing. And then that generates more money for the roads. We don't have to do this then.
You still don't like the parcel fee because it's not deductible.
It was not supposed to be deductible. I mean, it's not, I mean, a good tax accountant will find it and say, this is not tax deductible, but a lot of
Depends on
people.
what receipt you use.
Right, a lot of people will go, oh, this is my tax bill.
But TurboTax says, sure, here's a number.
How many people get the statement from the bank that
I
says,
get that.
That's right.
bottom number, and that's what you use? Here's what I use.
Taxes right on there.
That's right, that's right.
I didn't say I used it, but. It does say that on my bill, my escrow.
Every one of them do it.
Well, what if we put in the parcel fee for the full fire amount and reduce the property tax?
What do you mean by reduce the property, reduce what you're gonna ask for in addition?
No, just reduce our regular property tax as it sits now.
That's kind of get you where the.
Jim's trying to go through and just do a pass-through tax to
That's what I'm
create,
trying to do.
he's not trying to increase taxes. I think you're saying, go ahead and kick it, that way we'll have more real money for roads, is what I heard you saying.
Right.
Jim's saying, what about just keeping it as a pass-through, correct? By,
Yeah, I think what we're doing now is working. I understand, they always want $750,000. They wanted $750,000 forever.
I totally agree with you.
And you know, what we're doing now may not be, okay, we don't have pristine roads, but the roads aren't bad.
Well, as they say, we don't have beautiful roads, we have safe roads.
Right, that's all we
And
need.
that's what came out.
And if they want, if they would deny something like this, maybe they want to drive on gravel, I don't know. But what we're doing right now is working. Why in the world would we increase taxes to cover something? I mean, I get it, that, there may be a road that falls apart and we're gonna have a big problem, but until that time,
I honestly believe, and I mean, I know 750,000, I get all that, but I honestly believe where we're at is comfortable at 400 and some odd $1,000.
well, and this will take us to 434, which is not a huge
Right,
increase.
and then if we have surplus
We
during
can
the
look at
years
this,
and
right?
stuff, then we can put that into it, because we did get a few more things done with the surplus money that
Right,
we had. I
right.
mean, we've got just a couple things left in one column, which is very exciting for our group. So I'm very comfortable with that. I mean, more, obviously, we could do more with, but I'm okay with it.
I just, the struggle is trying to figure the balance when you have a $350,000 street that has to be replaced and you've only got 400,000.
Well, exactly.
That's the
Well,
struggle,
and-
not to
and-
say I don't agree with you at all.
Well, we came
With
out
the
with
road,
that on
but-
Wesley, saying that if in fact they're gonna do some testing on it, if we have to take it down to subgrade, we would only do half this year. And because we wanted to get some other things done, and then we would do half the following year, and we'd break it up. And,
Until we decide what to do with this, might not be doing anything.
well,
And there's still Valley Trails sitting out there.
Yeah, I think Valley Trails has got more life to it than.
I think so too. And
Personally
again,
speaking.
I think if we do come into an emergency situation on something and we need it, we've got these other things that we can do again in a sunset situation I like it if it's, again, if it's tied to the fire, and that's the safest way to do this, so that we don't have,
I think people are gonna view it as being double taxed no matter how you look at it. when you
I
put
think
it
it's
on
all
that
how we
tax bill.
present it. If they don't have to pay that $40 fee, still stays with the homestead exemption, which I think is important. And,
What do you guys think? I mean, you're the,
I like
what do you
this.
think?
I like this one.
But you wanna
Property
vote on it?
tax.
Yeah.
Do you think it has any chance of success? I mean, we've tried it twice, and it's been defeated twice.
There was mention made of having a public hearing.
Right, there would be multiple public hearings.
Okay. I mean, if people are gonna have to pay for their roads or not have them. You know, if you live in Villa Hills, you have to pay for the roads. I don't understand.
Well, the first time, I don't understand why it didn't pass, to be honest with you. There was public hearings, Jim did some unbelievable spreadsheets and PowerPoint and everything else, that was disappointing. The last time it went on the ballot, they asked for an ungodly amount. They wanted almost 500, 600,000, which would have, you know, huge property impact increase. I mean, I understood why that one didn't make
I
it.
don't remember the first time it was on the ballot. I remember the second time on the ballot recently.
You were still in grade school the first time.
I was going to grade school first time. Yeah. And that's why I didn't vote for it. I really wanted that. I think I actually opposed it when it was on the ballot this last time
Because it was such
because
a
there was
huge
no,
impact.
no, because there was no sunset. I remember me and Michelle talking about it. It's like, I'm not going to just vote in some big tax increase that they'll just end up spending later on whatever. But I like the idea of presenting with a sunset date. It's like, look, we need this much to catch up on some things for the roads, and then it goes away. I would vote for that, but I just didn't vote for it because there's no sunset to it.
But you also need some money to maintain the roads too, besides the CAM money.
And I hate to tell people it's gonna go away, because the odds are good it's not gonna go away. Especially if we only want $234,000. We need that every year, year after year, just to maintain these roads. Just slab replacement.
You need
and-
two, one to go away and one to catch up.
Right, well,
It's gonna be sunset.
We've got money to play, we've got money to maintain them, right? Longer
That's the
term.
400. I mean, we'll spend, out of that 400,000 we have, we'll probably spend this year 75,000 of that money for salt.
and that's the other thing that I think needs to come out. I think that needs to come out.
People won't get that.
I think that needs to come out of roads.
I agree with that.
That never used to be in roads years ago when we had
It's-
$8.50. I understand what you're saying there, but I'm just saying that I think that tax was passed for the maintenance of our roads, not to dump salt, or if our roads were fantastic, you'd still have to buy salt and stuff. I think that should be a general fund out of.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It's all coming out of the
Well,
general
it
fund.
does, but it doesn't, because it gives, I mean, last year, especially this year, we would have a lot more money to spend if we didn't have to pay for salt.
No, you'd be at 75,000 less.
Oh, well, we would.
We would have to take
We are gonna have
75,000 down to someplace else out of your budget though.
Well, but I'm saying, that would be something that would come out of surplus more than the restricted fund. I'm saying it needs to come out of restricted fund. That should just be general, I think out of the budget. We used to pay for it out of the budget, and now all of a sudden they passed a $40 thing, and now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, what else can we throw in there? And they threw the salt and everything in, which
Yeah,
I don't think it
we
should
were
be
throwing
done.
salt in KMA years and years and years ago. So I think it was just a convenient place to put that. And I don't disagree with what you're
Well,
saying.
It
because
might
we
be,
need-
but
We need that money to
we need
maintain
to
the
know,
roads.
when we put our plan together, we need to know that this is the amount it's gonna be, and not $75,000 less because we had a bad winter.
Well, you need to speak up at budget time.
Yeah.
That's when it needs to happen.
I will speak up. Carson will be there with me.
You betcha.
Okay, again, we can't make a recommendation tonight, but please
Why
think
can't
about
we?
this. Well, we can, I guess. I don't think council's gonna be prepared to do anything. If in fact it's a partial fee, we don't have to pull that trigger right now. We've got
Right.
time on that.
What
So
do you
that-
call it, partial fee, Rick?
Pardon me?
Please give me the partial fee of what? Partial fee of fire, you mean, or?
The
No,
partial
just
fee.
putting a flat $40 on your tax bill.
Parcel fee.
Yeah, partial fee
Would
would
be
be
80 and 60.
80 and 60.
Whatever, yeah.
Right.
I didn't know
But
what
are we
the-
gonna tie that to the fire?
And I don't know if I can do I don't know if you can do a homesteaded,
Yeah, how do you do a homestead exemption
User
partial
fee.
fee?
right?
You couldn't homestead a user fee. There's no way. You can't homestead
Actually, let's do
garbage.
Right, right, you're right, I can't.
So I think we'll lose the homestead exemption if we tie it to it.
Okay, so you may have to readjust your numbers a little bit.
Well, if we
It
have to
would
go to
just be a
$80 for
$77
that,
fee flat or whatever the number would average out to be.
yeah, well, I mean, we may lose the parcel fee because we lose the homestead. I mean, we may not get the support of council if we can't homestead it. I don't know. I don't know how, I mean, that was one of the things I thought was pretty
Yeah.
cool about this parcel fee. But if the parcel fee can't be tied to anything, and if that then puts us under the property tax onus, then somebody is going to
Right.
ask for a recall. No question.
Okay, so,
So, just try to summarize, do you think we want to make a recommendation that we do want to put this on the ballot?
yes.
Because if we put this on the ballot, we need to let them know, I think August is the deadline on that. And what we'll have to do then is start sharpening our pencil between now and August so that we know exactly what we want to put on the ballot, right? Okay, that gives us some time on that one. And then we're going to need to make a recommendation to council on what to do to bridge the gap between 1/1 of 15 and 10/31 of 15 when we start getting that next property tax, if in fact it passes. And if it doesn't pass, then all bets are off and we need to do something else.
Well, couldn't you do this, and if that passes, then this become null, I mean, then this
Absolutely.
takes off. If
Absolutely.
it doesn't pass, then this stays on for 5 years or something?
Well, I'd say if we
Or
pass
10
this
years.
as a council, I'd say we ought to sunset it. And
Okay.
then,
Which
and
one,
then
the property tax or the partial fee?
the parcel fee, because the council can apply the parcel fee. But if we sunset it, then it's only a one-year tax. And the next council, if this doesn't pass, the next council will have to determine what to do. But in both cases, you've got a sunset. I think you can defend it to the taxpayers if you sunset it and tell them it's a one-year tax. If this passes, it's not gonna be renewed.
Mhm.
Well, we can't say it's not gonna be renewed. That would be another council.
Well, we are not going to do
We will not renew it.
it, because we will have November and December meeting
Right,
to do that.
right.
It'll be a year before then anyway. It'll be, 15 before it has to be pulled off.
Right, because it'll actually be applied in October of 14.
Right. Correct. Or the other option is, do you want to go with something else?
So what are we gonna do with 14 vehicle sticker? This year's
What
vehicle
are you
sticker?
gonna do?
Well, that's part of the quandary that we're in, because
Yeah.
if we lose our ability to have it collected through the county clerk's office, I mean, I can tell you right now, our collections will drop.
I know.
And then
It's just not, it's not feasible.